In this episode of Flea Market Rescue, you remember the 80s? Well, we're going to take this teeny bopper's ugly old trinket box and we're going to turn it into a chic farmhouse display box. Next, from the 80s, we have this little mint green shelf, which we're going to turn into a little girl's farmhouse dream display. Lastly, we'll take this poorly painted ceramic cutting board and we'll turn it into a funny little farmhouse display using a little paint and our silhouette cutter. You ready to dive in? Let's go. Let's do these projects. I bought this little trinket box for $5.99 from the Salvation Army. It was definitely from the 80s. It had all these little shapes for knobs and it looked right out of a teeny bopper's room. So I took all those little shape knobs off and I painted it white again using flat enamel white paint. And I let that dry overnight. So I cut a stencil out using my silhouette and we're going to do a little grain stripe on here, grain sack stripe. So I'm just going to start by pouncing that print on there. Now I'm taking the stencil and I'm just pulling that up to expose what we painted. As you can see, I got a little splotch on the side, but that easily wiped up. And then whatever wasn't perfect, it's okay because we're going over it with sandpaper. Now we're going to do the exact same process on the top of the display box. All right, and we're going to go ahead and peel that off. See how that looks. A few little spots, but not bad. We're going to rough this up a little just to give it a little aged look, like it's been on this box forever. This will take care of any splotchy parts too. I then went to Hobby Lobby and I found these 3/4 inch drawer pulls and I thought they would be perfect for that. I painted those white and then I took the Owl black wax and I just added a little wax to them and wiped it off just to kind of give them a little more aged look. Now it was time to glue on all the little knobs. Now my husband a few years back brought me all these vintage numbers and letters and I've just never used them, but this is the perfect project for them. So I pulled out 1 through 9 and I spray painted them all. After I spray painted them using the same glue, the E6000, I glued all the numbers on. I placed a candle on the number 2 just so it would stay down. It looked like it was lifting up a little. The number 8 had prongs, so I had to tap that into the box. When it was all said and done, I think it came out pretty nice. Remember when mint green was so hot in the 80s? Well, this shelf definitely screams 80s. It even has the pegs that every board had. So we're definitely going to get rid of those and we're going to go ahead and paint this. I removed those pegs and I filled it in with a spackle putty. I first painted it a flat black. After it was dry, I then painted it white. The reason I'm doing this is so when I sand it, you're going to be able to see some of that black come through. Once the white had completely dried, I brought it inside and I took a little sandpaper to the edges to bring some of that black out and just give it a little more character. After I got done sanding it, I looked for little knickknacks that I could go ahead and display in the shelf, and I came across this little rabbit, and right then and there I knew exactly what it should say. So I went ahead and I took the silhouette and I made a little saying. I then carefully began to peel back the vinyl to expose the letters and weed out everything that we weren't going to use. Once I was done weeding everything out, then I went ahead and I put some transfer tape on the top, and then I went over it with a credit card. You want to make sure your lettering is really stuck to that transfer tape. Once I was done with that, I took the backing off and then I positioned the lettering where I thought it should go. Then with a credit card, you're going to want to just go over that lettering just to make sure it's down really good, and then you can peel the transfer tape off. When you have really tiny writing and it's very thin, you want to be very careful that you don't rip it or it's not going to come up. So I'm just being very careful as I'm lifting up the transfer tape. I love how that looks. It is so super cute. Now we're going to add our little bunny and our little wreath, and I just think that this shelf would be so cute in a little girl's farmhouse bedroom. This little shelf couldn't be any more stinking cute. And in life, it really is about the little things, isn't it? Okay, so I bought this for $3.99, and as you can see, it's just badly done. And there's scratches on it, things like that, so we're gonna get that off of there and do something really cute with this. I started by sanding it after I got it wet, hoping that some of the paint might just come off. I had to do this several times. Once I got it to where you couldn't see the letters anymore, I took it outside and I sprayed it with flat black paint. Then, using my silhouette, I cut some letters out that we could use on this cutting board. I've always seen this funny quote and I've always wanted to put it on something, and this cutting board is perfect for it. I began to cut out each of the words so it would be a little more manageable. Then I began to peel off the excess vinyl so only the words would be showing. I weeded out any vinyl that was still left that was not part of our design. I added transfer tape and then I peeled off the backing. From there, I positioned the word down onto the cutting board in the center. I took a credit card and went over our transfer tape just to make sure that the wording was stuck down onto the cutting board. Once I had done that, then I peeled back the transfer tape and the word looked perfect. I went over it one more time just to make sure it was secure. I continued the process with each and every word until I got to the end of the cutting board. I took a piece of jute rope and I put it through the hole and I wrapped it around, making a loop for our cutting board. I just love this saying. It is hilarious. I hope you have enjoyed all 3 Trash to Treasure projects. If you like this episode of Flea Market Rescue and you want to see more episodes like this, make sure to subscribe to my channel and ring the bell. I'm Kelly Sherry, and this is Flea Market Rescue.